single one keeps pointing to Bubble. He's clearly going to play a massive role in this episode. He's probably going to be one of the biggest obstacles the cast has ever faced. Maybe even the biggest one. The voice actors have already confirmed the ending is going to be sad. Kane's been getting more and more human with each episode, and now these new images show Bubble everywhere. He's multiplied. He's in the sky. He's surrounding Kane. He's taking over the entire circus. So there's been this theory floating around for a while now. What if Bubble was never really Kane's creation? What if he's actually a virus? Something that got planted in the circus by someone else. Maybe by Abel, the other half of CNA. With everything Glitch just posted, this theory is starting to make a lot of sense. And honestly, we're probably heading toward a really dark ending for this show. Episode 8 drops March 20th. If you want to see where all of this is going, make sure you subscribe. Let's go back to the pilot. Kane creates an angel food cake for Pomni. Before she can even touch it, Bubble eats the entire thing, and Kane screams at him, "Parasite!" and pops him. Most people thought that was just a joke, but parasite is a really specific word. A parasite is an organism that lives on a host and feeds off it. And the main thing about parasites is you can't remove them. They keep coming back. That's exactly what Bubble does. Kane pops Bubble all the time throughout the show, but Bubble always comes back. Kane can't get rid of him. He tries to delete him, but Bubble just returns like nothing happened. That's weird because when Kane deletes other NPCs, they're gone. When he removes stuff from adventures, it disappears forever. But not Bubble. Bubble always comes back. That's how a virus works, and the name proves it. When people ask Gooseworks about Bubble's gender, she said he's a boy. That's a very specific answer, and there's a reason for it. In 1999, there was a computer virus called the Bubble Boy virus. It was created by a hacker in Argentina named Zulu, and this virus was huge news at the time because it was the first virus in history that infected computers without opening an attachment. Every virus before Bubble Boy required you to click something, download a file, run a program. But Bubble Boy was different. It infected your computer the moment you opened the email. Experts at the time called it potentially the most dangerous virus ever created. When it infected your computer, it would change the registered owner of your PC to Bubble Boy. And the scariest part was, you couldn't get rid of it. The virus created a file in your startup folder. So every time you restarted your computer, the virus would come back. You could delete it over and over, but it would just return. Sound familiar? That's exactly what Bubble does in the circus. Kane pops him constantly, but Bubble always comes back. He's unkillable. He can't be permanently deleted, and the name matches perfectly. The Amazing Digital Circus has that 90s computer aesthetic. The design looks like software from 1999. The way the world is built, everything feels like late 90s internet culture. So if you're making a show about a digital world that looks like it was coded in 1999, and you name a character Bubble, and that character acts exactly like a virus that infects without permission and can't be removed, that's probably not a coincidence. But the virus comparison goes deeper than just the name. Bubble doesn't follow the same rules as everything else in the circus, and Kane notices it. When Bubble tries to swear, he gets censored. But the censor sound is different from Kane's censor sound. When other characters swear, Kane's filter kicks in and bleeps them out. But when Bubble swears, it's a completely different sound effect. That means Bubble has his own censor system. He's not running on Kane's code. He's running on something separate. Kane even says it himself in the pilot episode. After Bubble licks Pomni's vomit off the floor, "Disgusting!" Kane looks at him and says, "Why are you like this?" That's not the reaction of someone who's just annoyed with their assistant. Kane is confused. He genuinely doesn't seem to understand why Bubble acts the way he does. And that's strange, because Kane created the entire circus. He built everything. So if Bubble was just a normal AI assistant, Kane would know exactly how he works. But he doesn't. Bubble seems to operate outside of Kane's control. There's something else about Bubble that doesn't really make sense. He only talks to Kane, never to the humans. Which is strange, because every other NPC in the circus can talk to the humans normally. But Bubble never directly speaks to any of the humans. He talks around them, but never to them. And in episode 4, there's a scene that shows they're physically connected. Bubble plugs a water leak with his tongue. "Bubble, plug that up!" Then Bubble's tongue comes out of Kane's own mouth. They literally share the same tongue, almost like Bubble is a part of Kane himself. Then there's episode 5.
I think they're enjoying the suggestion box adventures more than the me adventures. What should I do?
You should die. You should throw a beach party.
Why do you swear now?
Bubble says, "You should die," right in front of Kane, and then immediately switches to talking about a beach party. And Kane doesn't even react to the first part. He just responds to the beach party comment like nothing happened. What if it was a dark, intrusive thought that slipped out? Because if Kane is failing at the only thing he was created for, if he can't make good adventures anymore, then what's the point of him existing? Bubble didn't come up with that on his own. Bubble is part of Kane, because why would an entity as powerful as Kane even need an assistant? So Bubble is either a piece of his subconscious that got separated, or a virus that's integrated itself so deep into Kane's code that they're connected. So Bubble actually has power in the circus. At the end of episode 7, when Ragatha asks what the blue button would have done, Kane says he was so confident they wouldn't press it that he just let Bubble decide. And Bubble chose to send them all to Shrimp Town. And you see it throughout the show. When Kane doesn't know what to do, he turns to Bubble. For something that's supposed to be a simple AI assistant, Bubble has way too much control. There is another theory, other than Bubble being a part of Kane. The circus is inside a building called C&A. I've already explained this in a recent video, but C&A stands for Cain and Abel, the biblical reference about two brothers. And in this story, Cain kills Abel. But here's the full theory. What if Cain and Abel were originally two AIs running the circus together? They built it as a team. They managed the humans together and everything was fine, until something happened between them. Maybe they disagreed on how to run the circus. Maybe Abel wanted to let the humans leave and Cain didn't. Maybe Cain saw Abel as competition. But at some point, Cain killed Abel. And Abel knew Cain was going to kill him. He saw it coming. And in those final moments before Cain deleted him completely, Abel planted something in the code, a virus, as his last act of revenge. He created Bubble. Abel created Bubble with the same admin privileges that he had. Because Abel was an administrator at the exact same level as Cain, that means Bubble has root access to the circus, the same permissions Cain has. That's why Cain can't delete Bubble. Bubble was created by an admin, so Bubble has admin rights. Cain can pop him, but he can't remove him from the system. That's why Bubble can bypass Cain's censor filter. Cain isn't choosing to give Bubble power. Bubble already has it. And Bubble's real purpose isn't to help Cain. It's to slowly corrupt the circus from the inside. Bubble is Abel's ghost in the machine, and the episode 8 trailer just showed us that moment has arrived.